Today we're going to be taking a look at the 2023 TIE Bomber. This is set number 75347. It includes 625 pieces, 4 minifigures, and it's going to be releasing on January 1st of 2023 for $65. Let's start by taking a look at the box art. On the front of the box we can see the TIE Bomber flying over a canyon. I think this art looks great and I'm still really enjoying the black border and blue line they've been using for recent sets. This box has the 40th anniversary logo for the Return of the Jedi in the top right corner. I think it's a bit odd considering the fact that the bomber doesn't even make an appearance in that movie, and the box art is based on a scene from Empire Strikes Back. I'm guessing this logo will make an appearance again in a few 2023 sets, but it probably could have been left off the box in this case since it's inaccurate to the source material. Looking at the figures, we can see that Vice Admiral Sloane, Darth Vader, the TIE Bomber pilot, and a Gonk droid are the minifigures included in this set. Moving around to the back side of the box, we can see the bomber sitting in a hangar along with the pilot and a secondary build that comes with the set. This looks like some sort of transport cart for the bombs so they can be brought over and loaded up into the ship. We also get a look at the main play feature from this set, which is a bomb dropping mechanism. LEGO is going back to using the flick fire missile for this play feature from the looks of things, so I'm interested to see how it works out. Let's move on to taking a look at the minifigures included in this set. First of all, we have the Gonk droid. We've seen Gonk droids in sets before this one, and it really isn't all that different here. I like the use of the Imperial crate piece to include some printing here. We saw this piece in the Master Builder series Mos Eisley Cantina and also in the Imperial Armored Marauder, so I'm glad to see it make a return in this set. I've picked up a bunch of these for my own builds, and I've found so many uses for them. Next, let's take a look at the TIE Bomber pilot. When I initially saw it, I thought this figure looked identical to the one that came in the 2020 TIE Fighter, but it turns out that this is a brand new figure with some slight printing differences. Here you can see the figures side by side. The differences are subtle, but you can tell them apart when you have them right next to each other. The new TIE Bomber pilot doesn't have silver stripes on his helmet, his torso has a different control panel printed on it, and his legs are much more detailed than the TIE Fighter pilot. It also looks like the quality of the printing has gotten a lot better here. You can see that the lines are a lot sharper on this newer figure than they are on the old one. I don't have too much to say here other than the fact that I think this is a good looking figure, and if you don't have a TIE pilot of any kind yet, you should be perfectly happy with this guy. On to the next figure, we have Darth Vader. This Vader figure is also brand new, with his face print being exclusive to this set at this point in time. Otherwise, he's pretty much an exact copy of the Darth Vader from the Obi-Wan Kenobi vs. Darth Vader set that we saw in August of 2022. So not a whole lot of new stuff to talk about here. If you don't have a Darth Vader with printed arms, this figure's great. His inclusion in this set doesn't make the most sense to me, but I think it's a good opportunity for people to get their hands on him who haven't had the chance to do that yet. Last but not least, we have Vice Admiral Sloane. This is a pretty standard looking Imperial officer figure. I think it would have been nice to see some leg printing or dual molded legs on her. It seems strange to me that this character would be featured first on the lineup on the box art, yet it's probably the least detailed figure in the set besides the Gonk droid. I've seen some people saying they would have preferred her in her white Grand Admiral attire rather than the standard Imperial gray, but I'm neither here nor there on the issue since I don't know this character very well. Otherwise, I think it's really cool that this figure was included in the set. Again, it doesn't necessarily make the most sense for a TIE Bomber set, but I enjoy it when LEGO finds a way to add lesser known characters into their sets. I know there were a lot of people that were excited when they heard this figure was going to be included here, so I think that's great. The instructions for this set are once again printed on a white background with a 3D render of the set. I'm not a huge fan of this look. I would definitely prefer it if they would go back to the old instruction manuals with actual design elements rather than this standardized approach that they've been using. Let's go ahead and get this thing built so we can take a look at the main model. All said and done, this set took me about 2.5 hours to build while I was live streaming, so it should probably take less time for you. It was a decent build experience. The wings got to be pretty repetitive, but it wasn't that bad overall. It was strange to me that they had you build the cart at the end rather than at the beginning. In other recent sets with a secondary build, like the Bad Batch shuttle or the ambush on Ferrix, they have you build the small thing first and then you move on to the main build at the end. After finishing the bomber, I didn't really feel like building the bomb cart because I'd already finished the exciting part of the build. The inclusion of this bomb cart seems a little unnecessary to me. I think a couple bucks could have been knocked off the price if it wasn't included here, but I think kids might enjoy it as a secondary build and it gives them somewhere to put their extra bombs. I'm assuming it was added in to hit that $65 price point since the ship itself probably wouldn't have gotten them quite there on its own. One thing I really appreciate is that there are no stickers in this set. All of the decorated elements are actually printed on and they look great. It's always nice to get printed designs on tiles because I tend to incorporate those pieces into mocks later down the road when I part out a set. As far as accuracy goes, I think the TIE Bomber looks great. It's well detailed for its size, and it looks a lot more accurate than the 2003 version, which I think is to be expected. I think it has a nice ratio of studs to tiles on the wings, and I think it looks about as good as you would expect for a set in this price range. The only complaint I have is that you can't see into the cockpit. The way they built it makes it look really good from the outside. The trade-off is that you can't see the pilot inside the ship. I think this could have been fixed if they used a windshield piece similar to the 2020 TIE Fighter with a clip-and hinge system, but I think this probably looks better from an external view perspective. So I think it's a worthwhile trade-off at the end of the day. This new version of the TIE Bomber is the same size as its predecessor from 2003, coming in at 14 studs long. This is what it looks like next to the TIE Fighter from 2020. It seems to be at about the same scale, and if they stick with this for future TIE variants, I think we should end up with a nice little fleet of ships. Just to give you a couple more comparisons for scale within that $60 to $70 price range, here's the bomber next to the Imperial Shuttle from spring of 2021, and here it is next to the Mandalorian Starfighter from summer of 2021. As far as play features go, the set has one main function, and that's the bomb drop using an older technique from a couple years ago with the flick-fire missiles. There are also a couple of stud shooters in the middle of the ship. This is nothing new, we've seen it many times before, but I think they blend in pretty well here. Also, these are the extra pieces left over after you finish building the set. So overall, is this set a good value? Let's take a look at a couple things to determine if it is or isn't. As far as display value goes, I think the set looks pretty good. I'll probably just break the bomb cart down and add it to my parts collection, but the bomber itself looks nice on a shelf and it doesn't take up a ton of space. All that to say, it's a TIE Bomber. I don't personally have any nostalgia attached to this thing, so it'll probably get cannibalized for parts eventually. If you're a big fan of this ship in particular though, I think you're probably going to be very happy with it. From a mock building perspective, there are plenty of parts included in this set that will be useful for Star Wars builders. The printed tiles, gray plates, black tiles, and curved gray slopes are all great pieces to add to your collection. If you're like me and you leave a set built on a shelf for a while and then repurpose it later for your own builds, I think you'll be content with the TIE Bomber. I don't think the figures in this set include anything particularly exciting as far as I'm concerned. I already own a Darth Vader with printed arms, and Gonk droids don't really count as minifigures in my opinion. It's cool to get a new Imperial officer, and of course the TIE Bomber pilot has to be included, but overall I think the figures in this set are just fine. Not bad by any means, just very middle of the pack. I would have preferred a stormtrooper with colored markings or something else in place of a few of these figures. It would have been just about as relevant to the set as a Gonk droid, but could have been much more unique. So, should you buy this set? I think the monetary value is pretty much there for the TIE Bomber as it is. Maybe it could have been $5 or $10 cheaper, but when this thing goes on sale for 15 to 20% off, I see no reason to pass it up. I think it's great that we finally got a new version of this ship, and I'm definitely looking forward to the other sets LEGO's going to be releasing in 2023. Will you be picking up the TIE Bomber on January 1st? Let me know in the comment section down below. And while you're there, feel free to let me know any other thoughts or opinions you have about this set. Drop a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to keep seeing more of my content in the future. Don't forget to turn on your notifications for my channel so you can see videos like this right when they come out. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good one.